So, Legend of the White Dragon is a movie that's been in what seems like production hell for the longest time. The biggest meme within the Power Rangers fandom, or within the fandom in general, is that we're probably going to see GTA 6 before Legend of the White Dragon. And last week, I made a video talking about the delays that Legend of the White Dragon has gone through since the passing of JDF. And if you haven't watched that movie, go check it out, because there's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff going on when it comes to the delays with that movie. But take it with a pinch of salt, because apparently, according to Aaron, it's all fake, it's silly audio, and we don't know the full context to everything. That's how he'll deny it, that's how he'll turn it down, and tell YouTubers like me and Henry that we're wrong by saying, you don't know the full story. And when we ask Aaron for the full story, well, he won't tell the full story. He'll just flat out deny it and won't say anything. Or just get someone else to do the talking for him. So I get the feeling we're never going to get a proper answer from Aaron unless he reaches out to someone to give the proper answer, or maybe someone he can interview and play it safe with who won't hardball him. But there's been some more information from the Power Rangers Illuminati, who has given Henry and me more info. I'll say Henry, I get it secondhand from Henry, but they've given us more information to cover when it comes to the sort of behind-the-scenes stuff when it comes to Legend of the White Dragon. So one of the biggest things that a lot of people have been asking when it comes to Legend of the White Dragon is, where is this going to be streaming to when it drops? Is it going to be on Netflix? Is it going to be on Amazon? Is it going to be on Shudder? Is it going to be on frickin' Paramount? No one knows where this is going to go streaming to when it comes to being released. Well, apparently, according to an inside source, and maybe take this with a pinch of salt, but whoever's feeding us this information, Aaron pissed off someone real bad for them to be feeding us all this behind-the-scenes stuff. This mysterious person, no idea who they are, and I say that honestly, I have no idea who this person is. But this is talking about, like, why this may or may not come to a streaming platform, because Aaron isn't happy with the offers, and some people aren't happy with what they've seen with the project, is why they've turned it down so far. So this is coming from a mysterious source that someone gave to Henry and Henry gave to me. Last year, preliminary outreach went to potential buyers, streamers, indie distributors, and digital platforms. The responses were underwhelming. So it looks like not a lot of people liked what they saw when it came to Legend of the White Dragon. That's crazy. Larger services such as Netflix, Amazon, or Hulu declined outright or ghosted after screening rough materials. So it sounds like the big three, Amazon, Hulu, and Netflix, did not like what they saw when it came to Legend of the White Dragon. And that's one thing I've seen when it comes to the fans of Legend of the White Dragon. They want to see this on a streaming platform where they're like, I would love to see this on Hulu or Netflix. That'd be really cool. And yeah, that would be really cool. We could watch it on a big TV on a streaming platform. But being on a big streaming platform like Netflix or Amazon does have its downsides. And that is, things don't last forever on these streaming platforms due to rights and paying money to be on the streaming platforms and stuff like that. So things don't last forever on there. Will this movie hopefully get a 4K release or a Blu-ray release or something? I hope so as well, because I like owning physical media. But for a lot of people saying, I would love for this to come to Amazon or Hulu, it doesn't look like it, because it doesn't look like they like what they saw. So, and they also ghosted him. That's crazy that they got ghosted after not liking what they saw. That's insane. Critical feedback cited an inconsistent tone, uneven visual quality, and a limited mainstream appeal outside the core Power Rangers fandom. So, seeing the inconsistent tone, I can understand, because from what we saw on that 7-minute sizzle reel, which Aaron says that 7-minute sizzle reel doesn't matter anymore because, you know, it's old stuff, whatever he said. that did give me mixed like responses because like the first thing you see is you see the scientists joking about like pandas and stuff like that, and it's like forced banter that those characters are trying to have, like they're trying to crack jokes and stuff like that. And even with the scene with JDF in that fight scene in that temple, JDF is sort of cracking jokes here, but they're cracking jokes, but it's a serious moment, so the tone might be a weird shift, I guess. I guess that's what they're meaning. But uneven visual quality, I guess they saw the rough cut maybe, or that's surreal, and a limited mainstream appeal. But the inconsistent tone, where was I getting at that? Yeah, I guess the tone was all over the place when they were trying to watch it. But the limited mainstream appeal outside of the core Power Rangers fandom. I know a lot of people are like batting for Bat in the Sun and Legend of the White Dragon and stuff like that. But the only people who care about Legend of the White Dragon, I'm trying to say this respectfully, are 1, Power Ranger fans, 2, Jason David Frank fans, and 3, I guess bottom feeders of whatever fans Aaron has left with Bat in the Sun, because they are JDF fans that attach themselves to Bat in the Sun because they want to see Legend of the White Dragon. But that's the thing. The only people who care about Legend of the White Dragon is a niche audience. Like, people will probably watch it because they remember Power Rangers and Jason David Frank and stuff like that, but it's a very niche audience. And the thing is, if this does come to streaming services, Legend of the White Dragon, we're going to talk about it for a week. And I've said this before. If Legend of the White Dragon comes to streaming services, we'll talk about for a week or two, and then we'll move on with our lives. We'll watch something else. We'll be like, that was a nice movie. It was nice to see JDF on the screen one more time. But what else is streaming on Netflix or Hulu or Amazon? That's what we're probably going to move on at talking about. It happened with Once and Always. It happened with Cosmic Fury. We watched it for a week or two. We had a discussion about it for a week or two. Then we moved on with our lives. I sound harsh as fuck right now, but it's the honest truth. Best interest came from free ad-supported streaming services like Tubi, Pluto TV, and Freevee. I have not heard of Freevee. I'm Australian. Platforms that require little to no quality threshold for distribution. And that is true. Have you seen the stuff that's on Tubi? It's like D to C class. I mean, there's that weird Power Rangers parody that's on Tubi TV that's like a fan film that somehow made it, and it's filmed like entirely in front of a green screen. Like, that is a dog shit movie, and I want to make a video on it, but I feel like I'm too late to it because everyone else in the fandom has talked about it. But if something like that can get onto Tubi, then yeah. So there's that. Tubi would take it tomorrow. So Tubi would take it tomorrow. We could go to sleep today and Legend of the White Dragon could be on Tubi the next day, or they'd be in negotiation already with Aaron the next day. They would put it on there tomorrow like that. But it looks like there's a plot twist with this, because internally it's understood that Aaron sees accepting Tubi as a deal as a public defeat, not because of the platform's reputation, but because of what it signals. He promised a major theatrical release with emphasis on cinematic quality and event scale significance. I cannot speak right now. Landing on a free platform would draw immediate comparisons to smaller fan-funded projects like Unworthy and undermine the positioning they've spent years reinforcing. So, yeah. So I get where Aaron's coming from for that. Like, he's promised fans for the longest time, yeah, we'll put, because a lot of people say in the chat going, oh, I can't wait to see this in cinemas. Will this come to cinemas? Just like streaming. Will this come to cinemas? And Aaron's like, yeah, we'll do our best. We'll do our best. Well, we'll do our best. We'll get this into the cinemas. Don't worry. I'm Aaron from Bat in the Sun. I'll get this in there. And I get that. If it doesn't hit the theaters and it just goes straight to the streaming platform, then that does undermine what his vision was with JDF was, seeing it on a big screen in the theaters and stuff like that. But if it's not going to go to streaming services and it doesn't go to a theater run, then what are they going to do? Drop it on YouTube? But Aaron doesn't want to do that, because if he drops it on YouTube, then he doesn't want to be compared to stuff that are smaller and fan-funded projects like Unworthy or Shattered Past and stuff like that. Aaron wants to go big and go hard by putting it on streaming and putting it on in movie theaters, which I get that, but if he's being rejected left, right, and center and doesn't want to work with Tubi or anything like that, then you kind of have to cut your losses and go at Tubi in the end, sounds like it. So, in addition to the technical hurdles, that's what we went over in the last video, check it out, there is an issue managing perception and avoiding a scenario that reframes the film as a smaller than original promised. So, I get that. They want to put it in the theaters because if you put something in the theaters, it seems like a big deal. But if it goes to streaming or a cheap streaming platform, then it's going to feel garbage, or it's going to look like garbage, or have that perception that it's on Tubi, so this might be trash. And I get that as well. But Aaron was offered a deal by Tubi, it sounds like, but he didn't want to do it, or I don't know if they approached him, but looks like they didn't want to do it with him. Who knows? But it's interesting that, well, it's not surprising that Netflix, Amazon, or Hulu declined Legend of the White Dragon because I guess it's not up for snuff with what they want to put on there. Netflix, I especially get that. Amazon, I've seen some weird, like, indie horror stuff on Amazon before in my recommended. I haven't watched it, but I see some horror titles that do look very indie when I'm scrolling through. But yeah, it looks like the only thing they could probably do is put it on Tubi or put it on YouTube, but I don't think Aaron's going to want to do that. And this one as well, it's got a limited mainstream appeal outside of the core Power Rangers fan base, which is definitely true. I'm sure the average Joe on the street doesn't know what Legend of the White Dragon is, so I totally get that. But anyway, guys, what do you think of this information? I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. Do you think that Legend of the White Dragon will come to streaming? Do you think it will come to the cinemas? Do you think we'll see this movie at all? And do you think we'll see this movie before GTA 6 in May of 2026? I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. And with that said, I will catch you guys later. Peace out, take care, and bye.